Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with today's trading action. All right, sorry, I got a little bit delayed. Did not get the video made before the UK CPI numbers. Now, in case you missed it, it was what are we talking there? About half an hour ago. The CPI numbers are really on the bottom end of the spectrum of the expectations, I should say. So really weak numbers there. But we saw a big move to the downside on sterling against everything. To me, the services inflation numbers, which is the central banks have been referring to quite a lot, has finally buckled, right? 4.9%, previously 5.6. So it is impacting now all their, just the economy is just sort of bursting at the seams. PPI also really weak. So weakness across all areas of inflation. And what that saw was a big move across the board on sterling. You've got some trend lines here. Euro sterling looks like it's heading up to 84.30. Sterling CAD had a really nice support trend line to the downside. Sterling sterling yen. Basically, sterling's falling against everything, as you would expect with those weak numbers. If I come back to the major currency pairs, this brings sterling back in line with what's happening on euro. You can see very clearly a little bit of a flush out of stale positions below 130, the figure. It was the previous low, and that's going to put downward pressure on Aussie and Kiwi. The dollar pairs, well, not a lot of activity, really, right? They shouldn't really be going too far because the dollar will be rallying as these other major currencies fall, right? So just giving you a quick look at that sterling previous level. It was just another previous low, and a lot of the market traders do focus on these standout lows or levels. And you can see there would be stop losses there. There would have been option barriers and knockouts and calls and puts all over the place there. But they have been sort of handed the long end of the stick. And, you're just seeing, like after yesterday's really strong employment numbers, sterling looks strong. Even all day today, it was holding in there. But these inflation number, it's the key number, right? And it's a flush out. And you're seeing a big move to the downside. You know what? Probably the first 30 or 40 points, if you've missed this, 30 or 40 points probably didn't even touch the sides, right? If you look at the on the crosses, a lot of them have sort of gapped, right, on that release. So don't think you've missed anything too much because it was a tricky situation to get in. You see the gap, it retraces a bit, and then you're wondering, do I stay with it or not? It's taken 35 minutes for the market to really come back in and really start hammering the downside. And this is where the derivatives market really comes into play because before this, it was 80% chance of a cut. Now it's 91%, right? So you can keep an eye on those interest rate probabilities on the website. That's the place to sort of, go to and check out what's going on. And that's what we've got just at the moment, right? So that's just happened, right? So you come in and you think, well, right. So you're going to be thinking selling sterling on the crosses at least for the next 24 hours is a good thing. And then you come back down here and have a look through the rest of the data. I mean, housing starts in Canada. No, not really. Manufacturing sales is actually not a bad number for the CAD, but the CAD has been behaving really weird. We had sort of lower inflation numbers yesterday and the CAD rallied, right? So to me, there's a lot of weird activity in the market, right? Just looking across the board here, on like dollar CAD, there's so much influence from oil. It's hard to work out are the CAD fundamentals impacting or not. But you know what? This is a really good trend line. Like if we didn't have the Middle East conflict and we hadn't seen like oil all over the place, this would be such a nice trade. But the fact that oil is being dominated with OPEC reduced the oil demand expectations. We've seen the Middle East conflict obviously create issues. We've seen the hurricane through the US, the Gulf of Mexico hit Florida. That had a huge impact on oil, and it's just been all over the place. So I don't know if the Canadian fundamentals have had a chance to really get into gear because it's like one of those odd things, right? You try and sort of piece trades together, and then the markets behave differently on geopolitical events, and that's where you get some odd things happening. Short-term direction at the moment, fighting long-term direction. Like Kiwi, that is lining up and it's very close. If Euro keeps going, it's going to break to the downside and that will change that from a peak buy into a waiting situation, but the direction will be down. So some long-term, really long-term positions being threatened. With that, we might start to see some big flush outs. And maybe this dollar rally, it's not rallying because the US economy is going great. It's because everything else is coming to a shuddering halt. Just keep an eye on euro here. I know it's oversold, but we do have a support trend line there. It's long term, so you might want to have a look at that. At the very least, you'd expect that to be, if it breaks, probably run down 40, 50 points. Okay, take out the weak stop losses, and then we'll see how it comes back from there. Not ideal with it being oversold, but I tell you what, it's there's going to be a lot of people sweating on long positions there. Unfortunately, we don't have any euro numbers to really give it a flush out. That would have been pretty much ideal timing for that. But as I said, the focus on sterling, looking to get short sterling on rallies at the moment. All right, guys. Don't forget, this is tricky markets. I'm looking at this and I'm like, wow, this is like, it's hard to work out exactly where the death knell is going to come from, right? And we just saw the inflation numbers. Tell you what, just remind you how powerful those inflation numbers are. Respect them and look to take advantage of them when they do pop up. All right, guys, have a good one. All the best. Cheerio.